Okay, so today tends to be one of the tougher sections for a lot of students. Today we're going to look at going from expanded form for a circle, which really honestly doesn't give us a whole lot of information, and changing that into our standard form. Alright, so just as a reminder, our standard form is our x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, where hk is the center and r is the radius. Alright, when we're in standard form, we can really get a good graph of a circle very, very quickly. Expanded form, like number 1, where we have x squared plus y squared minus 4x plus 6y plus 4 equals 0, really doesn't tell us a whole lot about the circle at all. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at a strategy that takes us from this format into the other format. And we're going to lean heavily on completing the square. Now, we've only looked at completing the square when we had one variable involved up to this point. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to regroup this so that we only are dealing with one variable at a time. So I'm going to move my x terms to the front. So I've got x squared minus 4x. And I'm going to put a blank in because we're going to complete the square on that piece. Now, I like to keep it balanced, so if I'm going to add something, I have to subtract it as well. Otherwise, I'm changing the value of the function rather than just the way it looks. All right. Now we're going to add in our y terms. So I've got y squared plus 6y. We're going to complete the square here as well. So I'm going to add a blank, subtract a blank. I have the plus 4 and the equals 0. All right, so our goal is going to be to take this piece and this piece and make each of them into a perfect square trinomial by completing the square. So from yesterday, remember the rule is half the middle term squared. So for the x terms, the middle term is 4x, negative 4x. Half of negative 4 is negative 2. If I square that, I get a 4. So this first blank, we're going to be putting a 4 in. All right, now if I add 4 to keep things in balance, I also have to subtract a 4. Alright, so at that point, that piece, we could really change this piece to x minus 2 quantity squared minus a 4. Alright, I'm going to do the same things with the y's now. So half of 6 is 3. 3 squared is 9. So my first blank is a 9. And if I add 9, I have to subtract 9 to keep things in balance. Alright, so this part, I can change the rectangle part to y plus 3 quantity squared, and I have a minus 9, and then I still have the plus 4 equals 0. So just real quick for clarity, this piece in yellow, right here, with the minus 4, corresponds to this piece. Right. In blue, the y terms, and that plus 9 minus 9, that corresponds to this piece. And then that plus 4 was the other piece that was already just in this equation, and we're kind of dealing with it almost separately and on its own. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move all those constants over to the other side. So I'm going to add 4, add 9, and subtract 4. Alright, over to the other side. And sorry, that was add 9 and subtract 4. Let me rewrite that right hand side there. So I added 4 to both sides, I added 9 to both sides, and I subtracted 4. Right? So these cancel. I'm left with x minus 2 quantity squared. These cancel. I'm left with y plus 3 quantity squared. These cancel. Alright, and then over on the other side, I've got negative 4 plus 4. They cancel, and I end up with a 9. Alright, so at this point, I can say that my center, right, is at 2 comma negative 3, alright, using the work we did on getting hk yesterday. And my radius is 3 by taking the square root of that 9. Alright, and this would be the standard form. Once I'm in standard form, a whole lot easier to work with. Now, I'm going to show you one alternate way that I do see teachers work through this at times. It's very similar. It's just a choice where we put the other pieces. and I want to show it to you because I really don't care which option you use. I've used both in the past. So the other option, same problem, is we're going to still regroup the x's. So I'm going to do x squared minus 4x. As I do that, I'm going to add a blank on this side. Alright, then I'm going to say plus y squared plus 6y, and I'm going to add a blank. Now, what some people will do is they'll move the constants over at this point. So they're going to go ahead and subtract that 4 over. And now I'm working on two sides of the equation, so it's kind of like two sides of a balance. So if I add something on one side to keep myself in balance, I have to add something on the other. Right? And I added 2 blanks on the left, so I'm going to add 2 blanks on the right. Now from here we still complete the square as usual. So half of 4 is 2, 2 squared is 4. So I added 4 on the left, I'm going to add 4 on the right. Half of 6 is 3, 3 squared is 9. So I added 9 on the left, so I'm going to add 9 on the right. Right, now I still go through really the same process. Right, that's an x minus 2 quantity squared. This piece is a y plus 3 quantity squared. And over here we get a 9. And notice I get to the same answer. It's really not a big difference in the work. I kind of like this one the best, but I do see the other one taught a lot, so I wanted to show you both. Alright, so let's do one more of these together, and then I'm going to cut you loose on the Khan Academy videos. You can watch those and give the problem sets a try. So this second one, very similar problem, right? And I'm going to show that second technique that we did. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to group my x's. So I have x squared plus 10x plus something plus y squared plus 2y plus something equals, now I'm going to move that 10 over to the other side. So I've got a negative 10. I added 2 blanks on the left, so I'm going to add 2 blanks on the right so that I stay in balance. Whatever I put in the first blank on the left, I have to put in the first blank on the right. So half of 10 is 5. 5 squared is 25. So my first blank on each side of the equal sign is a 25. Alright, so I've added 25 to both sides of the scale. It's still in balance. Half of 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. So my second blank on each side gets a plus 1. So in total, I've really added 26 to each side. Alright, when I add 26 to each side, I'm still in balance. Now I'm going to look at factoring each of the perfect square trinomials that we created. Alright, so the first one's going to go to an x plus 5 times x plus 5, or x plus 5 squared. The second one's going to go to a y plus 1 quantity squared. And then over on the right hand side I have negative 10 plus 25, that's 15, plus 1 more, that's 16. So my center, which is h comma k, is going to equal negative 5 comma negative 1. My radius, which is r, right, that's going to equal 4 because it's the square root of 16. Alright, and this would be our standard form. These would be the features. And at this point, the question can ask you to write the standard form, give the features, or to graph. And if it asks you to graph on this one, all we would do is we would go over to negative 5, negative 1. We'd plot a center. Radius is 4, so I'd go up 3. So it's 4 units up. I'd go down 4, 4 units down, and I'd go 4 units right and left, and I'd draw in my circle. And again, this is just another type of problem we'll see with circles, and this is going from expanded form to standard form. And again, standard form is the place we want to be because that's where we tend to get the best information. It gives us the center, it gives us the radius, and we can graph. I hope that was helpful. That should take you through most of the Khan Academies. Thanks.